Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instruction on completing the task at hand. Visit my YouTube channel and watch my disclaimer video. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you find the information you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. This 2001 Lexus IS 300 is having problems with no start. When I got to it, it had a no cranking issue. So I removed the battery, I took it to auto parts store, they charged it up, I got it back, car fired up and ran. But when I had my scan gauge on it and was monitoring the voltage would drop sometime below 12 volts when I was at a stop. So I think there's an issue with the alternator. From reading on the forum, I read what seemed to be a very detailed post from somebody that seemed to be knowledgeable of alternator functions. At any rate, there's basically three things that can go wrong with these alternators. The diodes go bad, the brushes go bad, and the regulators go bad. So my brother's daughter's car, this is my niece's car, my brother said just replace the alternator with the cheap remanned one. I recommended against it, but heck, you know, that's their call. So I'm gonna pull the alternator, get one from a local retailer, and put it back in. On some cars you can actually access the back of the alternator, pull the back cover off, and replace the voltage regulator without removing the alternator. But since they don't want to go that route, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the positive and negative battery terminals. I'm going to put the car up on ramps. I'm going to lower the splash panel, probably remove some of this air scoop, take the fan scrod loose. I heard that has to be raised, maybe even almost removed, to get the alternator out. I'm going to take the serpentine belt off, take the two bolts that secure the alternator on, pull the alternator forward up toward the radiator and drop it out the bottom of the car, and then reverse those procedures. I think there's two electrical connectors on it as well. These are all the tools I used to replace the alternator on this Lexus. I used a 3/8 inch ratchet, a 1/4 inch ratchet, needle nose pliers, the spray for the electrical connector, 1/4 inch and a 3/8 14 millimeter, a deep and shallow 12 millimeter 1/4 inch, a 10 millimeter and an 8 millimeter screwdriver for the sockets, flat tip screwdriver, 14 millimeter box in, and another box in for a cheater. And then I had a wire snip. So those are all the tools I used to replace the alternator. Oh, almost forgot. I also put the car up on ramps. This Lexus IS 300 has charging issues with the alternator. So I'm going to replace the alternator. That's what the owner wants to do. So let me get started by removing the splash pan under the vehicle. Splash panel has several screws along the front, side and back. When I get it out, I'll show you how many there are. Okay, this is the splash panel. These screws I was able to get out with this driver with a 10 millimeter socket on it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, around 14 screws around it, unless you're missing a couple. Get your 10 millimeter and take your negative battery post cable loose, then take your positive battery post cable loose and insulate them so they won't reattach. And the reason I take the positive loose is the positive has a direct connection to the alternator, and if you're taking that loose, you could short it out and cause yourself a short in the system. So I always take the positive battery cable loose when I'm doing an alternator job. Next thing I'm going to do is put a wrench on that idler pulley right here, which is a tensioner, and pull the tension off of the belt. Okay, I wasn't able to get the belt loose from up top. This is the tensioner and the pulley of it I accessed from the bottom to break it loose. So I came down under the car and I put my 14mm socket on it, and I swung my handle toward the passenger side. It loosened the belt, and I reached up and knocked the belt off of the alternator. So make sure you see how that belt went on, so when you take it off you can get it back on the proper way. So go ahead and inspect your belt for cracks. If it has cracks, get you a replacement belt. My belt looks good, so I'm not going to replace it. Next thing I'm going to do is reach down here and disconnect these two leads from the alternator. One looks like a plug, the other one's probably a bolt, but I'm going to pull that black dust cap off the lower one and disconnect those leads from the alternator. That first lead there has a tab it looks like you release and unplug it. And I was able to squeeze on this top tag to unplug the first one. The second one had a dust cap on it. I pulled the dust cap toward the back of the car and it lifted off. So I removed that bolt with a 12mm socket. Next, I'm going to remove this bolt here, the gold tip one on the front of the alternator, and there should be a nut on the lower side of the alternator, which also should be 14mm. And when you come under the car, you find the alternator. That's the nut right there that's on the alternator. As soon as it comes in focus, you want to pull that nut off of that stud. I use a 14mm box end wrench to get that one loose, and I use another box end wrench as a cheater. Put it on like that, give me some leverage, then I broke it loose. Be careful not to damage any of these lines down here when you break that loose and remove that bolt. Now on mine, when I broke the nut loose, the stud came loose as well. That looks like a T40, so if you got torque sockets, some people call them reverse torques, and you got a T40, you can just unscrew this whole lower stud so that you don't have to remove that fan shroud. That alternator may come out past this now without messing with the fan shroud. Okay, I got the top bolt out, and it looks like the alternator is free. I'm going to have to work it from under the lower radiator hose. The alternator is free. It fell down on this tube here, and I'm going to try to work it back a little bit past this radiator hose. See if I can get it out behind that. I was able to work the alternator out behind the radiator hose, but the plastic clip there is attached to a bracket, so I'm going to get a flat tip screwdriver and break that loose and drop the alternator down. Then I'll take it in for replacement. My power lead has a clip on it that clips to the bracket on the alternator. So when I went to drop the alternator out, that was a little bit of a pain in the butt. So you may want to figure out how to release that clip out of this bracket. Then once you have the alternator out, go ahead and get an 8mm nut and pull this bracket off, because that's probably not going to be on the replacement alternator. Okay, now you can either take this alternator in for bench testing, but like I explained in my troubleshooting video, I believe this thing is what we call intermittent. Sometimes it puts out 14 volts, sometimes it drops down to 12 volts or under 12. I had a reading as low as 11.7 on my scan gauge, so I'm just going to get a replacement. And this looks like the original Toyota one that came with the car. Here's the replacement alternator. Everything seemed to line up good. The plug is at a little bit of an angle, but that's no big deal. And I'm going to snip this off, put that bracket on, and go ahead, slide that in place and put the two bolts in it. I'm going to put a little thread lock on these threads just because these are bolts that don't come off and on often, and I want to make sure they don't back out. Next, I'm going to clip that wire harness into that bracket and bolt that 12mm power lead on, and then I'm going to plug in this top plug here. Got that power lead on tight. I sprayed it with this battery connector spray. Now I'm going to put this protective cap on it. Then I'm going to plug in the other plug. Okay, I got the power lead on, the dust cap on, the plug in, the boot pulled over that. Now I'm going to go ahead and route the serpentine belt back around everything it's supposed to go around. Pop that on. After that, I'm going to hook up the positive cable and the negative cable. Start the car and check my voltage. After you get the serpentine belt on, look at the sticker on the hood and make sure you have that serpentine belt routed right before you start the car. Okay, again, before you start the car, make sure you have all of your tools and parts from under the hood. Make sure you don't have nothing that can get sucked into the serpentine belt. And be cautious when you start the car, because to be honest with you, I've had one of these aftermarket no-name alternators last about 15 seconds and catch fire. So you want to check the volts output on it. You want to come under the hood, make sure it's functioning properly, and then watch it for at least 5 minutes or so before you trust it. Okay, I got the battery hooked up. I got my scan gauge here. I'm going to go ahead and stick my key in the ignition. I'm going to watch that voltage gauge there and my voltage over here. It says that my battery voltage right now, still connecting since the battery was pulled. Say my battery voltage is 12 volts. Go ahead and start the car and watch what happens. Voltage is risen up to around where it was at 14. Right now it's putting out 14.4, 14.5, which is a little higher than I'm accustomed seeing. So let me go under the hood and make sure everything looks fine there, and we should be done. I'll take it for a test drive. If for any reason the voltage drops under 13.2, I'll post back. So since everything appears to be working fine, I don't smell any burning smell or anything, I'm going to go ahead and put the splash panel under the hood, under the car. When you put these splash panels on, I normally use a screwdriver with a 10 millimeter. So I'll put the socket on that, and I never tighten those down beyond just snug, because it's plastic and you don't want to tear through your plastic and ruin your splash panel. Alright, the alternator meter in the dash is higher than 3 notches above 9. And my volts are ranging between 14 and 14.4 on my scan gauge. Just dropped to 13.9. That's the lowest I've seen yet. Crap, volts on this alternator is dropped down like the other one did. Down around 11.9. It's idling at 12.7. So there may be something outside of this alternator that's wrong with this car. So as soon as I hit the gas, it jumped right back up to 14. So I'm going to jump on the internet and see if there's something outside of this alternator that could be causing this voltage to drop that low. If you feel that this information was beneficial, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can get notification of future videos that I post. Visit my channel. I have all types of do-it-yourself videos there. You can leave questions here, and I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. You can also visit my website at robertspinner.com. Thanks again for watching.